Welcome to Grace. My name is Stephen and this is church. Most importantly, welcome to 2025. Now, I don't know what you do for 2025. I hope you celebrate in some ways, make some goals, some plans. But for me, I make a New Year's resolution. I know some of you are probably saying, Stephen, don't you know that New Year's resolutions more often than not don't work out? Of course I do. I'm one of those people who started a resolution and oftentimes, guess what? It doesn't work out. But does that mean I give up? You know, only 10% of people that start a New Year's resolution actually finish the New Year's resolution by the end of the year. Well, I'm an optimistic person, so I think to myself, even if I wanted one goal and I failed the first year, and then I failed the second year, and I failed the third year, eventually I'd be due within 10 years to make that goal, make that 10%. My really smart math teaching sister tells me that's not exactly how statistics work and probability works, but you know, I like to tell myself, I gotta keep trying. Life is short. We gotta keep trying. So what do I wanna put on my list this year? Well, there's two things. The first thing is I wanna read my Bible every day. Whoa, wait, hold on. Did the pastor just admit that perhaps he doesn't read the Bible every single day? Well, admittedly, I've read it, cover to cover a few times. And I know the story, from the very beginning to the very end. And I think what happens is when we know the story from cover to cover, that somehow we can become arrogant and we think that the reason to read the Bible is to know where we came from and where we're going, and perhaps a debate happens, or perhaps we have to show that we read our Bible, and so we throw out some quotes there. But I don't actually think that's what the Bible's all about. I mean, yes, I do. I do think it's about knowing where we're going, knowing about Jesus, and knowing where we started, knowing about Jesus, and knowing where we're going. Yeah, of course, I believe that. But I also think that part of the reading the Bible is shaping ourselves, forming ourselves, changing ourselves to be more like Him. In James, it tells us not just don't just be hearers of the word, be doers of the word. Well, how can you be a doer of the word if you don't hear it, if you don't read it, if you don't think about it and contemplate it? And so I'm going to admit that, there has been times, it's not weeks, right? But there has been times where 1 day passes, 2 days passes, maybe even 3 days passes, and I haven't read my Bible. I make excuses. I'm busy at the food bank, or I was busy at church, or I was busy visiting, but it's not good. One, I can't do this by my own strength. I kind of need God with me, and I need to hear from God. And so I need to read the Bible every single day. So that's my first commitment. The second commitment is that I just need to get out and do some sort of exercise. Now, I know I have more responsibilities now. I'm a father, but that doesn't mean that I don't have any time. And I do need to take care of my body. Not for aesthetics reasons. I mean, I have gray hair now and some extra wrinkles, but not for that. Just for my health and my mental well-being. A few years ago, or many years ago, before COVID, we had a volunteer, Dalton. Most of you guys know Dalton. Dalton was a runner. And when I say a runner, he was a real runner. He ran the Boston Marathon, the New York Marathon, the Los Angeles Marathon. Marathons that you had to qualify for. His whole goal in life was to run the race in 3 hours. I think he ran in 3:01. Until Dalton died, that 1 minute haunted him. How did I run it in 3:01 and not just under 3? I don't know, Dalton. But we also had somebody else that comes to the food bank, Victor. And Victor used to come up to me and say, hey, Stephen, if you ever wanted to start running or jogging, I can meet you here. I can meet you here on an off day, and we can go for a jog in the neighborhood. I'll get you started. And he did get me started. Between Dalton and Victor, I was running races. I was feeling good. I was looking good. Aesthetically, that's great. But most importantly, I was feeling good, and I was more healthy. And I ran races every other week. And the reason I was running so many races, to be honest, is keeping me accountable. It helped me set goals so that I could keep going. And I ran, first I was running a 5K, then a 10K, then a half marathon, then another half marathon. And finally, right before 2020, I said, I'm going to run a full marathon. And I signed up for a Toronto City Marathon. COVID happened. They emailed saying there's going to be a virtual race Virtual race? What is virtual race? I'm not going to do that. I shouldn't have done that. It's too easy to drop something. And once you drop something, it's hard to pick it up. So here I am 5 years later saying, no, that was ridiculous. I miss exercising and I don't feel as well as I used to feel. I need to get on it. In Mark, Jesus summarizes the commandments as this: you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all of your strength. The second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Well, I could do better on loving God with my mind, and definitely I could do a little bit better with my strength. So in 2025, that's my goal. I want to focus on those two things. So if you don't see me exercising, hey, you can let me know. I'm okay with that. And I don't know how you're going to test me on the Bible, but I promise you, I have a couple links to help me out, and I think I'm on the right track there. Well, speaking about reading the Bible, this week I started again. In the beginning of the year, you know how you start. I start always at the very beginning, and my favorite story is God's creation. When God creates us, he creates you and me, creates us in his image, and he says, this is good. You are good. I like that. I like that. You know, sure, there's some of us, you know, we've done some wrong things, but at the core of us, guess what? There's something good. And so if you haven't heard that in your life, I want you to know that God made you. And when God made you, he said, this is good. Well, my second story, though, comes immediately after that. And so I was reading that this week, and my second favorite story, I think there's a lot of favorite stories in the Bible, is about Cain and Abel. Two brothers. And this is a story, we find it in Genesis 4. Now, Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. And Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of his firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." You must rule over it. You know, I was thinking about growing up, I used to watch this cartoon every lunchtime, you know, in elementary school. I'd come home for lunch and I had peanut butter and banana sandwich, and I'd watch Fred Flintstone. Fred Flintstone always had these predicaments. In these predicaments, always a Fred Flintstone devil would show up on the one shoulder and a Fred Flintstone angel would show up on the other shoulder, and the devil was trying to get him to do something bad, and the angel was saying, "No, don't do that." And I think that is exactly like this story. And it's exactly like you and me trying to conquer all those things in our life that we're trying to set as goals, right? They could be spiritual goals, they could be physical goals, they could be financial goals, they could be relationship goals, but whatever it is in our life, right? We have this thing in our one ear telling us, give up. Only 10% succeed. You're not going to make it. You're not one of the 10. You're not good enough. And we hear this thing talking into our ear, and because it's talking so loudly, right, that sooner or later, somehow or another, it's easy to give up. But I like the story. I like the story because God comes on the other side of the ear and says, "Hey, listen, I know what you're doing. You need to figure it out. Sin is crouching at your door, and it desires to have you. Hey, this guy's happy if you give up. Don't give up. Don't give up." That's the moral of the story. You know, I shared this on Thursday at the sharing place, and I had 3 answers. One person came up and they said, "You know, Pastor Stephen, I have to admit something, that somehow or another throughout the years and because of things that have transpired, I don't think I have very much hope. Or I don't think I can see something good. Before I even responded, the person said to me, I need to change that. You gave me something to think about. 2025 is a new year. It's a new year. Doesn't matter what happened in the past, put it in the past. Let's start this year. The second person came up to me and said, you know, Pastor Stephen, a few years ago I had cancer. I was supposed to die, and I didn't die. And so I realized that every day is a new day, and I can't waste days. I can't waste years, if I mess up in June or July, waiting for January for something to start. No, if I fall off, I need to get back on, because life is short and we're all going to die. So let's make the best use of the time. The third person said to me, day by day. What does that mean? And they said, you know what? I used to be an alcoholic, and I used to have real substance abuse problems. But I found myself in AA and different support groups and different accountability partners. And I've been sober now for about 8 months. I got the chip at home. But I can't do this without God, and I can't do this by myself, but day by day. Hey, perhaps that is part of all of us. Perhaps maybe we had bad 2024s, we had bad 2023s, bad 2022s, and now we've kind of lost hope in 2025. Don't let that happen. Today is a new day. The sin is crouching at your door, desires to have you. Don't listen to that. Today is a new day. Or perhaps you miraculously made it through something, whether it was a car accident or an illness, and you are living today. Don't waste this day. That's crazy talk. Our lives are short. Make the most of the days that we have. And then the third person's also right. Perhaps the real thing is that we've been trying to do these things all within our own power, right? We try to do these New Year's resolutions, by ourselves. They're just personal things. And perhaps he's right. Maybe we need accountability partners, and equally important, maybe we need to rely on God. We can't do it. It's hard to make 5-year, 10-year plans when we just need to go day by day. This is Grace. My name is Stephen, and this is church.